We find it to be much more enjoyable and I think important to listen to the community voices.
Sure.
Community-driven news and analysis, now on Democratic Visions. Closure of community newspapers in Minnesota and the emergence of new hyper-local digital newsrooms is an ongoing story. When Southwest Journal in Minneapolis shut down in late 2020, Southwest Connector and Southwest Voices sprouted in what had become a local news desert. Editor Melody Hoffman met with Jeff about Southwest Voices.
Melody Hoffman is the first editor of Southwest Voices, a new news source in Southwest Minneapolis, but it's just not Linden Hills, is it?
No, I think there's a misperception that when we say Southwest Minneapolis, it's just that bottom quadrant of Southwest Minneapolis, but Southwest Minneapolis is actually goes all the way up north to Stevens Square, goes all the way east to 35W, and then down to like the Linden Hills area, but it includes Whittier and Uptown, my neighborhood of East Harriet. Yeah, so it's a pretty big portion of Minneapolis.
So how do you cover that? Volunteers or what?
Well, right now it is. I do a lot as the editor. I produce some of the content, but I also work with some wonderful freelancers that work on specific topics. So we have a reporter, Melissa Whitler, who focuses just on the schools, the Minneapolis public schools, and she covers that. Charlie and I both love to talk.
And that's Charlie Ryback.
Sorry, yes, the Charlie Ryback that everybody loves and adores. Super sweet person, new in my life, but we like to cover local small businesses and kind of talk about what makes them unique to the neighborhoods that we cover. Mm-hmm. So it's actually a really small team right now. We're hoping to grow, but we just launched in October of last year, so we're like a baby right now.
So are you on social media? You have a website too.
Oh yeah, so one unique thing about Southwest Voices is that we are digital only right now. So we send out a daily newsletter to our subscribers where we kind of let people know what we've been covering. So we'll link to articles that we've written that we've posted on the website. But also we collect links from other news sources, which is something I really like. So we're very community driven in that way, in that we support other local news organizations. Okay. We also, in our newsletter, talk about what you can do at night, after you're done working or on the weekend. But we put all of our news stories up on our website, and then we also have social media. So Facebook and Twitter are our big ones. We're not on TikTok yet. Still haven't found a way.
How do you get the word out to people?
Oh, that's a great question. If you
Yeah, we're aware of that. I'm with the Eden Prairie Local News, another startup newspaper for Eden Prairie.
Right, and isn't it interesting that that is one of the big things that you're always working on is letting people know that you exist. One thing that we do is we're doing neighborhood listening tours, and so we've done one already in Stevens Square and Whittier. We're kind of working our way down south.
Is that a virtual?
No, this is in person.
In person?
Yeah, where we go to the individual neighborhoods and we visit local businesses, hang out at a coffee shop, and we just talk to people that way. But also with the power of social media, if we put out a story on Facebook, it's amazing to see it, because you can see all this behind the scenes, how the story kind of travels through different venues in Facebook, and then we have a bunch of people reading our stories, just kind of through the magic of the internet. So the internet is obviously a huge tool for us, but we also like to be in person in these neighborhoods and letting people know that we exist that way too.
Interesting. Now, I've noticed once a week you have something called Perspectives.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a newsletter. And you're dealing with the plans to renovate Hennepin Avenue, south of Lake Street down to Douglas. What's the purpose of that? How do you do it? And,
Our Voices of Southwest, sometimes what we call them, but also the Perspectives pages, is at the core of our mission, which is really to uplift the community voices. So we're not very much interested in cultivating opinions. Like, me and Charlie don't sit there and talk about what our opinions are and then share them with everybody.
Oh, sure you do. No.
No.
Oh, you don't.
If we could, but we find it to be much more enjoyable and I think important to listen to the community voices.
Sure.
And so what we do with these big issues, like redoing a major street in Minneapolis, which, in Eden Prairie you might think well, what's the big deal? in the city, it's a huge deal because it's including buses and bike lanes and all sorts of things. And it's making a lot of people have very strong opinions about it. So when stuff like that happens, we go, okay, let's create a space on our website where people can submit their thoughts. And you can do it like on our website, or people can text us or email us. And then we publish all of them. Like we don't censor anybody's thoughts. We just like anybody's perspectives on something like Hennepin Avenue or public schools we like to share. And then that's also a resource to share with other people in terms of like, what is the community thinking about this topic?
Sure. Does the city or the school district, are they in tune to the perspectives service that you're doing?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's unclear how much the like administration of the city and the public schools are tuning in, but we know that community members, parents, families, that they definitely come to us as a source, especially for education news and transportation news as well. But really our job is just to get the information out and the opinions out and just letting people know, especially if there's actions for people to take. So if there's a school board meeting that's really important, or a public meeting about Hennepin Avenue, we really push that, and we tell people over and over when these meetings are and how you can join, because we think that's really important too.
Now, I was fascinated by the fact that you don't have subscribers, or at least you don't refer to them as subscribers. They're members.
Yeah.
And probably like Minnesota Public Radio.
Exactly.
Explain how that's working.
Yeah, well, fun fact, Andrew, one of the other co-founders Andrew Haig, one of the co-founders of Southwest Voices, he comes from the public radio world.
Okay.
This is a fun fact. But, the structure around having members is that just like public radio or PBS, you can be a member and donate money to keep it running, but that doesn't mean that somebody who isn't donating can't access the same information, right? So we don't have paywalls.
Yeah.
We want to keep all of the information free. The newsletter that people subscribe to, so they could technically be seen as subscribers, we actually post that newsletter on our website, so there's no barrier to that information either.
So it's open to everybody, no walls or anything.
No, that's important for us.
Unlike PBS stations right now that have a paywall, if you want to see programs from the past, they do have that right now.
Yeah, we're not interested right now in doing anything like that, because what's most important for us is that we share community news with the community. So
now you're filling a news gap that was created by the downfall of, I believe, the Southwest Journal, correct? Yeah. And do you talk with those people, or have you sought counsel from them about what works and what doesn't?
In my capacity, I have not checked in with Southwest Journal, but we have a lot of readers that used to subscribe to Southwest Journal now supporting us, which is great. And one thing that we've really brought over from the energy of Southwest Journal is their dedication to covering small businesses.
Yeah.
So that's something that the community always wants, is like, for example, there's a mulch shop on 50th and Bryant, and it's under construction, and multiple people emailed us and they're like, what's going on with the mulch shop? Like, is it going away? This is really, we love this place. So I have a freelance reporter now looking into how long is the construction going to take? When are they going to reopen, right? So, and that's something that the Southwest Journal did very well. And sometimes when I'm even doing research on these small local businesses, I'll see old articles from Southwest Journal pop up about them.
Yeah.
So that is definitely something we took over from them. But we're not in cahoots with them, for better or worse.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're enjoying your stint as an editor right
Absolutely.
now.
Yeah, I love it.
What's the best part of it?
Every day is something different.
Okay.
Every day I get to meet new people. Every day I get to talk to new people. I also love to learn. So like I'm constantly learning new things about my city that I love so much. Where I have been living in Minneapolis since 2009, and I've always been kind of like an engaged citizen, right? But my work took me outside of the city, and so it's really nice now that I live in the area that I cover, and anytime I go outside and start, meeting people or talking to people, that could be a story, and I think that's just a really cool way to do my job.
When you go out and meet people, do you have business cards or anything to hand out?
I
brochures?
do now officially have business cards.
Really?
I also do it. Yes, you can have one if you'd like.
I'll trade you mine for yours.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm now in the business card trading business.
Okay.
I also have a press pass, which I think is important with press pass is just letting people know, like when you're out and about, that you are covering something,
right.
Especially now that a lot of journalism is done on phones. It's like, are you a citizen covering it, or are you a journalist, right? So I like to note that I'm doing something for my work, but I definitely share it that way. But I also love to like wear our merch, like I'm wearing my t-shirt, like just kind of getting the logo and the vibe of us out in the city. Yeah.
As editor, what do you feel is the biggest challenge for Southwest Voices over the next 5 years?
That's a question.
It's hard to answer. It's hypothetical, but
Yeah, I think one challenge we are going to have is to circle back to what I said earlier about the misperception about what Southwest Minneapolis is.
Right, yeah.
And so a lot of people will say, oh, well, that's not for me because I don't live in Linden Hills.
Yeah.
When I think about when I'm writing my articles or talking to a freelance person that I'm working with, I'm always thinking about the renters in Whittier or the small business owner that's on Lindale selling coffee, right? Those are the people I think of. Whereas other people have a misperception that we're just covering, the richer, wider area of Southwest Minneapolis, when that's not the case. So I think, busting through that misconception or perception is going to be a challenge for us. And I think as somebody who's worked in local news, community news for a long time, it's letting people know that we exist. It's just like spreading the word.
Melody, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. This is so great.
Say Southwest Minneapolis. Get in touch with Southwest Voices at southwestvoices.news. Democratic Visions is handcrafted by volunteers from Eden Prairie, Hopkins, Minnetonka, Edina, and Bloomington. Watch us on select cable systems and on our YouTube channel.